Good morning, students. In last class, we have started the concept. Unit name is the operating system support in distributed system. The concept is thread programming. We have started in last class. Okay, in the thread programming, all threads are running simultaneously. So it is said to be that thread programming is said to be concurrent programming. Here, most of the threads are uses the conventional languages like C with the thread such as C language with thread for library. The C thread package is developed for the Mac operating system. These we have discussed in last unit. That with the thread execution will be like the thread group and the runnable target and string name. And after that, run and start. Okay, this is the process of executing the thread. Now coming to the thread lifetime. If a new thread is created on the Java virtual machine as its creator in the suspended state. First thread will be in the suspended state. After it is made a call runnable. It is made runnable by using the start method. Okay, see here, by using start method, it will be made runnable. Okay, when it will be executed, it will be executed by a run method. Okay, after executing a run method, an object will be designated to its constructor. Okay, the Java virtual machine and the threads on the top of it all execute in a process on the top of underlying operating system. Okay, here we need to know initially the thread will be in the suspended state. Once it enters into runnable after calling the start method, and once it will be executed after calling a run method. Okay, here a thread can end its life when it returns the run method. Okay, after execution. After run, it will be executed. After execution, it will be returned, it will be end, or in case of any destroy method is called. In case of any destroy method is called, the thread will be ended. Okay. Here, the programs can manage threads in groups. At the time of creation, every thread will be assigned to a group. The thread groups are useful when several applications are coexisting on the same Java virtual machine. Now, the thread groups also facilitate the control of relative properties of threads. Same thread properties and thread groups are same. And this is useful for the browsers running applets, the browser running applets, and the web servers running programs called as web server program are called as servlets, which create the dynamic web pages. Okay. Up to this topic we have discussed in the last class. Now we have started with the Java thread constructors and management method. The thread will be like the thread group name, and the runnable target and string name. This will create a new thread in the suspended state with the new thread which will belong to the group and the identifier as the name of the thread will be execute the run method of the target. Okay, this is the thread group, the runnable target and string name. Okay, here the string name is like the group name, and after creating that, the set priority. Okay, set priority means we are having two in this, sets and returns the thread priority. Okay, priority means whenever the execution takes place, we need to give the priority. Okay, whether it is having the highest priority, having a least priority. Next, run method. A thread executes the run method of its target object if it has one and otherwise its own. Okay. Next, the main function of the run method is it will be implements the thread runnable. Okay. Next, start method changes the state of the thread from suspend to runnable. Okay. Initially, whenever the thread was created, it is in the state of suspended. Once it gets start, that means it enters into the runnable state. Nothing but it changes the state from suspended state to runnable state after calling the start method. Next, sleep. That will be in milliseconds. It will causes the thread to enter the suspended state for a specified time. Okay. Next, yield. This causes the thread to enter into a ready state and invokes the scheduler. Lastly, destroy method. Okay. These are the Java thread constructors and management methods. Now, the next topic is thread synchronization. Here, this is a multi-programming environment, right? Sorry, multi-threaded process. That means a process is created into number of threads and all these threads are running simultaneously. So it is said to be multi-threaded process. These multi-threaded process requires a great care. That means the main difficulty here is sharing of objects and techniques used to thread coordination and cooperation. Why? Because all these threads needs to be shared, shared some objects, okay, and the technique needs to be shared among, and we need the coordination among the threads, coordination and cooperation. Why? Because those are sharing some objects. Okay, here with respect to Java, it provides a synchronized keyword for programmers to designate well-known monitor construct for the thread coordination. It uses a keyword synchronized. Okay. The programmers designate either enter methods or arbitrary blocks of code as belonging to a monitor associated to individual object. Here, the monitor's guarantee is at most one thread can execute within it at any time. Okay. Here, we are using a Java synchronized keyboard. Here, the monitor is guaranteed that at most one thread can execute within it at any time. Okay, that means all threads will be executed. Okay, here see here the Java thread synchronization. The Java thread synchronization calls thread.join integer milliseconds. This will blocks the calling thread for up to specified time. Here, if we give a time here till that specified time, the thread has been terminated. Okay, block the calling thread for up to specified time until the thread has been terminated. Next, thread dot interrupt. This is interrupt. This call will interrupt the thread and causes it return from blocking method call such as sleep. Okay. Whenever the interrupt occurs, it will enters into the sleep mode. Next, object wait. The integer is long, milliseconds, integer nanoseconds. Here, this particular object.wait method blocks the calling thread until a call made to notify or notify all on object waits the thread, or the thread is interrupted or specified time has been elapsed. Okay, this will give several meanings. It will blocks a calling thread. Okay, it will blocks the calling thread until a call made to notify that thread or notify all on object, but on particular object wakes the thread, or the thread is interrupted, or the specified time has been elapsed. Okay, last one, object notify. Object note. What is the meaning of here? In the previous one, I said object notify all. It waits respectively one or all any threads that have called wait an object. Here, if we notify all threads will be blocked. Notify means particular. Only one thread can be blocked to access on the object. Okay, this is called as thread synchronization. Next topic is thread scheduling. Here, so far we have seen some process scheduling. In those process scheduling, we have seen the type of scheduling algorithms, preemptive scheduling algorithm and non-preemptive scheduling algorithm. Coming to the first type of algorithm in thread scheduling is preemptive scheduling algorithm. That is, a thread may be suspended at any point to make way for other thread, even when the preempted thread would otherwise continue running. That means very simple. That is, in process scheduling, we have discussed with respect to process. Okay, one process may be suspended for the sake of other process. Here in the thread scheduling, a thread may be suspended. That means the execution will be suspended at any point to take way for another thread. Okay, it is for the sake of another thread, even when the preempted thread would otherwise continue its running. Okay, second one, non-preemptive. Here in this scheduling, a thread runs until it makes a call to the threading system when the system may deschedule it and schedule another thread to run. Here, the difference simple. The meaning of preemptive means it will be suspended. Okay, if some here the thread programming is concurrent programming, right? It in preemptive scheduling, one thread may be suspended and it will give you a way to make another thread to execute. Okay, here in non-preemptive scheduling algorithm, a thread runs until it makes a call to the threading system when the thread may be descheduled. Okay, it does not stop its execution. It will continue its execution. Okay. Here, the advantage of non-preemptive scheduling is that any section of code that does not contain a call to the threading system is automatically a critical section, but it is not allowed in multiprocessor. Here, non-preemptive scheduling is having a disadvantage, not disadvantage. It is having an advantage that any section of code, you know the critical section, right? A process enters into the critical section, right? That is a critical section. Okay, but it cannot allow in multi-processor system. Okay, in multi-programming it will be okay. In multi-processor system it will not suit. The non-preemptive scheduling in case of multi-processor it cannot allow. Okay, this is the two types of scheduling, that is preemptive scheduling and non-preemptive thread scheduling. These are the two types. Now coming to the next topic, that is thread implementation. Here, coming to the threads implementation, threads can be implemented in many kernels. Okay, you know, kernel is the heart of operating system, right? Thread can be implemented in many kernels to support multi-threaded process. For example, in operating systems like Windows, Linux, Solaris, Mac, in these operating systems, the threads can be implemented in many kernels to support the multi-threaded process. Multi-threaded process means the process can be divided into multiple threads, and all these multiple threads are running concurrently. Okay, these kernels provide a thread creation and management system calls, and they schedule individual threads. Okay, the kernel is responsible for provide thread creation and management system calls, and they schedule individual threads to be executed. Now, the multi-threaded process must be implemented in a library of procedures linked to application programs. In case of user level threads, cannot schedule them independent level. Here we are having two type of threads. Okay, this we have studied in Unix and operating system. One is user level thread and second one is kernel level thread. User level thread and kernel level thread. Here in this case, the user level threads cannot schedule them independently. This particular diagram shows you the scheduler activation. Here we are having in the first diagram, it represents the assignment of virtual processor to the processes. Okay, assignment of virtual processor to the processes. Okay, see here we are having two processes, process A and process B here. This is the kernel and these are the virtual processors. Here, the assignment will be done by the kernel. Assignment is done by the kernel. Okay, for process A and process B needs to be executed. For that, it needs to be processor. The assignment will be done by a kernel. We're coming to the second one. The second diagram indicates the events between the user level scheduler and kernel key. The user level scheduler and kernel key. See here. Here the meaning of P is processor. The meaning of SA is scheduler activation. P is processor and SA is scheduler activation. See here. P is nothing but processor. Here P needed. See, P means processor is ideal. Here the P is needed, the processor is ideal, and the processor is added, and SCA means scheduler is activated. Okay, SCA is unblocked and SCA is blocked. These are the different states. Okay, I will tell you the states. Okay, just SCA means scheduler activation, and P means processor. Okay, the first diagram shows you the assignment of virtual processor to the processes. Okay, see here the explanation about the first diagram. Show that the process, show that as process notifies the kernel when either two types of events occurs. When a virtual processor is ideal and no longer needed, or an extra virtual processor is required. Okay. See here. Figure A shows the name of the figure is assignment of virtual processors to the processor. Here in the bottom we are having virtual processors. We are having two processors. Here so that the process notifies the kernel. The process needs to inform. See here. Here the process notifies the kernel when either two types of events occurs. We have two types of events. When a virtual processor is ideal and there is no longer needed, or an extra virtual process is required. See, first kernel will notify. Okay. Coming to the second diagram. Here in this diagram, kernel notifies the process when any of four types of events occurs. Here four type of events. One is P is ideal, P is needed, SA is blocked, SA is unblocked, like that. Here four type of events occurs. A scheduler activation is a call from the kernel. A scheduler activation, SA, is called from the kernel to the process, which notifies the process schedulers of an event. See, whenever a kernel makes a call, scheduler activation to the process, that notifies to the process schedulers of an event. Okay, entering the body of the code from lower layer, entering the body of the code from the lower, that is kernel. In this way, sometimes it is called as upcall. Sometimes it is called as upcall. Okay. P is added, SA is printed. These are the different events of the process. Here, the four types of events. The kernel notifies the user level scheduler as follows. Okay. Here you need to know about the responsibility of the kernel. Okay. Here the four types of event that kernel notifies user level scheduler. Okay. For user level thread, it is not suitable. Okay. First event is virtual processor is allocated. When the virtual processor is allocated, the kernel has assigned a new virtual processor to the process, and this is the first time slice upon it. The scheduler can load the scheduler activation with the context ready thread, which can thus recommend execution. Here, the first type of event is virtual processor allocated. That means who will allocate a virtual processor to the process. Here, the kernel has assigned a new virtual processor to the process, and this is the first time slice upon it. Okay, that means the first step, it will assign a virtual processor to the process. The scheduler can load scheduler activation with the context of ready thread, which can thus recommend the execution. That is the first event. The second one is scheduler activation blocked. Here, an scheduler activation has been blocked in the kernel, and the kernel is using the fresh scheduler activation to notify the scheduler. The scheduler sets the state if the corresponding thread has been blocked and can allocate ready thread to the notifying SA. It's very simple. This is SA is blocked is nothing but scheduler activation is blocked. This is the second event. An SA has blocked in the kernel. Okay, then the kernel is using the fresh scheduler activation to notify the scheduler. The scheduler sets the state of corresponding thread to blocked and can allocate whenever the new fresh scheduler activation has been created. Then the corresponding thread enters to ready state from blocked state. This will notify to the scheduler activation. Next,
scheduler activation unblocked. Here, a scheduler activation that has been blocked in the kernel has become unblocked, and it is ready to execute the user level threads again. Then the scheduler can return the corresponding thread to the ready list. Okay. Whenever the scheduler activation is blocked, the list will be not in the ready list. The thread will be not in the ready list. Whenever the scheduler activation is unblocked, the kernel will notify the process, and the kernel has become unblocked and it is ready to execute the user level threads again. Okay, this is about the scheduler activation unblocked. Next, the scheduler activation preempted. That means the kernel has taken away the specified scheduler at SA from the process. That means the scheduler activation will be preempted from one process to another process. The scheduler places the preempted thread in the ready list. Because the threads will be executed which are in the ready list. After creating a thread, those will be entered. Those who are executed, those will be entered into the ready list. Okay, here a scheduler will place the preempted thread in the ready list and reevaluates the thread allocations. This is about the 4 events, that is virtual processor allocation, SA blocked, ESA unblocked, and ESA preempted. Okay. The next topic is the communication and invocation.
Here, the communication is the part of implementation of an invocation. Okay, why? Because let's take an example: a client process and server process. Okay, these two process needs to be communicated. First, they need invocation. So they said the implementation of invocation is the part of communication. Communication is the part of implementation of invocation. It means a construct such as remote method invocation, remote procedure call, or event notification, whose purpose is bring an operation on resource in a different address space. Okay, this is the introduction about the communication and invocation. Coming to the communication, we are having the communication primitives like some kernels designed for distributed systems has been provided. The primitives will be like TCP, UDP, that is UDP. The socket in Unix and in Windows, do operation, get request, send reply, and group communication primitives in V system. These are different types of primitives in different types of communication primitives. For example, if the middleware provides the remote method invocation over Unix connected to TCP socket, then a client must make 2 communication system calls for each remote invocation. The principal reason for using sockets are portability and interoperability.
Here they have taken example in the Unix operating system. The middleware provides a remote method invocation method connected to TCP sockets. Then a client must take 2 communication system calls. Okay. Next, protocols in the communication. The next one is protocols and openness. One of the main requirements in the operating system is to provide standard protocols that enable internetworking between middleware implementation and on different platforms. Here, to provide standard protocols that enables the internetworking between the middleware implementations on different platforms. Next, integrate the novel low-level protocols without upgrading their application. That is the second responsibility. Next, the protocols are normally arranged in a stack of layers. Coming to the stack, we are having two types of stacks here. One is static stack. Here, many operating system allows new layers to integrated statically and permanently installed protocol as a driver. This is a static stack. Coming to the dynamic stack, the protocol stack may be composed on the fly. That means the web browser utilize wide area of wireless LAN on the road of faster Ethernet connection is with respect to wireless networks, with respect to wired networks. Okay. In the next class, we are going to be discussing the invocation performance and invocation tasks. Okay.